Make every night a wonderful journey, no matter where you are. Good night, sweet dreams. The first story, The Stare of a Woman. What can I say? I don't know much about the supernatural, the darkness, or the stare. The story is one that revolves around a young boy in high school. He is a man doomed to love, to hate, to live, and to die. So here is the cursed tale of Wolfgang. The first day of school. I think I am going mad. I am ABSOLUTELY mad. Why the hell would I transfer over to this high school? I miss my old friends already. And holy crap, I should watch the road. Okay, so here I am transferring over to this new school, which is granted better funding with a better academic system, and harder teams to face for sports. Like I give a damn. I just want to live my life already. The last period. Everything in this school is just awful. I mean, there are so many spoiled rich idiots living in this place yelling, "Fuck my life." At the top of their lungs, these fuckers don't know what it is like to live in a crappy neighborhood. They dream of those thoughts, but they will never know true hardship until they are kicked out by their parents. So I hope so. I will walk into this foreign language class and just get the hell out of here. My mind is going CRAZYRIGHTNOW. So he walks into the classroom, taking in all of the new posters. A room while his teacher explains the syllabus to everybody. The cruel tendency is that the students probably heard this 5 other times already throughout these periods, so half of these poor saps are probably asleep. Man, this is just going SWELO. Let's see. Christ quote, Napoleon quote, Einstein quote, Einstein quote. What is this history class? Oh, and a nice looking chick there. There. And oh crap, she is looking at me. Don't look back. Don't look back, you idiot. He looks back at her, and they both stay staring at each other to get through the day. When class is dismissed, they go outside of the class, and she meets up with her friends as he stares at her. While that was a weird case of events, at least I won't have to worry about it until tomorrow. Those eyes were just locked into me. Was she mad at me? The second week of school. It has been a while since any special actions happened. The same just happens between these two gazers, and the learning process is a joke for these kids. Something special does happen on the Friday of that week though. They get their own name for their foreign language class. Mr. H. Alright class, listen up. I know it's been a couple weeks, and the most you guys know is probably 110. To make this class more fun, I am going to have you all turn to page 40 to see a list of common German names. Choose one wisely, for you will be bound with it for the rest of your career in my classroom. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Look at these awesome names. Siegfried, Mercedes, Wolfgang. That's one hell of a name. Reminds me of Mozart. WG, yo Mr. H. I'll take the name Wolfgang. Mr. H, Wunderbar. The girl. What a weird name, Waysign. Now Mozart, what was the relationship to these two names? Is this a sign? Mr. H. Sehr schön. After this awkward turn of events, he just shrugs it off, but gets an awkward text on his phone during class. It reads, "I want you." It was from an anonymous sender, and he didn't know what to do because it was a restricted number, and he didn't ever give his number to any of his friends yet. He does notice one thing though: the girl named Constanzen She has that same stare. It was such a beautiful stare. But it was directly at him. He knew it was to him. Oh my God, she is so beautiful. I can't keep my eyes off of her. I am locked in a trance. Should I be mad? I don't know, I have a technical stalker suddenly. But she is hot. Week 3. I think. It's time I actually spoke to this girl. Her eyes are just so beautiful. I can't stop staring into them. I am getting lost right now just thinking about it. Constanzen. Hey Wolfgang. I think we need to talk. WG. Oh, hi there. Constanzen. What's up? Constanzen. Nothing much. But I was just wondering if you could hang out with me after my basketball game. Say around 8 p. And OHMYDODCHA and CEHSSUCKER DAT WG. I'm sure. But why? Constanzen. I just want to know you better. And I to know. Why not? Yeah, seriously, you a pussy. A girl is asking you to hang out at night time. Come on, man. Sack up. WG. Alright, sure ways. Aren't your parents going to be mad if you're staying out late? Constanzen. Giggles. Don't worry about them. I'll make sure they keep their silence. Sweet. She disobeys her parents. I wonder what naughty things she plans on doing with me. WG. Fine, where would you like to meet? Constanzen. We're just near by the abandoned room F23. WG. F23. Where is that exactly? Constanzen. Go to the second floor, and it will be at the very end of the hall. Be sure to knock 4 times. Giggles again. She then runs off to get ready for her basketball game. Damn, she looks fine and tight. Okay, let's see this room F23. Wait, should I buy anything for her? I don't know. But should I go watch the game? Damn it all. After the game, he goes to the second floor. After the game, he goes in front of a room that had no label on the very end of the hall. He knocks 4 times, and the door busts open. Throughout this room comes a red light glowing from the end of the hallway. The cold feeling rushes to his spine, but he continues forward to look for that beautiful girl. WG. Constanzen. Are you here? We need to really talk now. Constanzen. Oh, now that you're here, you ray all mine. Red eyes come the distance, the darkness filled with many doors. Wolfgang doesn't remember which door he used to exit. That red light was the eyes. Holy crap, she is going to kill me. He runs for his life while her figure scales his speed across the endless hall of doors. Constanzen. I was in love with you after I saw those deprived eyes. I know your story. You were deprived of everything. I bet the first thing on your mind after you saw me was how bad you wanted to fuck me. Is that it? WG. Oh God. No. I swear you don't understand. I'm just a new boy from another school. I never wanted to rape you or anything. It's just that you have the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen. Your stare just made me stare back. Because you were the first true sign of a good friendship in this school. Constanzen. Filthy, filthy liar. I can see the true darkness emanating from your heart. I'm going to fix your mistakes only through one possible trial. THRILFHEL. WG. What is wrong with you? He keeps on running, but he was being slowed down. Her eyes. WG. Ouch. Wolfgang trips on the ground. and Constance and crowds on top of him. The lights come on, and they are in a smaller room suddenly. This room is a technical 30-seater classroom, and there was a lab table in the center. He was laying down, bound by ropes. She was standing in front of him, stripping him of his jeans. His pants were off. Oh my God, I need to get the hell out of here. She is stripping me down, and I can't tell if I am supposed to be enjoying this or screaming for help. Constanzen. This is the dastardly tool that men used to fuck, control, and exploit women. I wonder what you were going to do with yours. WG. Oh, please don't kill me. She takes her pants off as well, and goes through a gory process of raping him. She enjoys it way too much, but makes him climax in the end. Constanzen. Alright, I gave you what you wanted. You've had my body, but now you can have no other. WG. Okay, fine, I promise. Just let me get out of this room alive. Let me live. Constanzen. Giggles. Oh, say. I can't let you live. You're just another one of those bastards who will live their life exploiting their wives. If I had not known you were a feminist whore, I am pretty sure I would have backed off. She pulls out a scalpel from her sock. Constanzen. I'm sorry, Wolfgang, but this is THENDSTOP. Wolfgang wakes up from this evil nightmare and looks at his phone. It is the first day of school for him. He remembers everything from that dream and keeps it in mind as he drives to school. 6th period comes by. German class. Right across of him is a girl with the red eye stare. Constanzen. He then stares at his phone one more time during the syllabus. IWANTYOU. The second story. War on the Gods. There was once a happier time. A time when we loved our gods, and in return for our love they blessed us with good harvest and prosperity. That was many years ago. Now there is only famine, sickness and death. To make matters worse, what little resources we have are being stretched thin by our great war. A war to end tyranny and bring back those prosperous times before the black fog descended upon our cities. A war against the very gods we sang our praises to only a few short years before. No one knows why the gods turned their backs on us, but we all remember the day it happened. The day of black fog. It was a day of celebration, of song and dance and feasting. One of our gods had chosen to grace us with their presence high above our capital. It hung above us, colossal in size, gleaming with a beauty rarely seen in this world. We danced in and out of its shadow, and paid tribute to its glory. The royal choir had just begun to sing a hymn in the god's honor, when suddenly it happened. With a mighty roar the god belched forth a fog from the heavens. No one knew how to react. We just watched in silence as our city was engulfed. To breathe the fog was to die, and its touch brought horrible sickness. Silence gave way to screams of panic as we watched the cloud of death spread through the city and out into the countryside. Few from the city survived, and those who did had nothing left to return for. The fog stuck to everything it touched. The people, our buildings, our crops. We couldn't bury our dead for fear that we would be exposed to the black death that clung to their flesh. Our crops failed, our reserves poisoned. Much of our once glorious kingdom now lay empty, uninhabitable. It was a cataclysm. Our king was dead, but a new leader stepped forward. Our savior, he was wise, just, and charismatic enough to bring our people together in this time of hardship. Under his guidance, new forms of farming were discovered and new technologies pioneered. Times were hard, but he was able to do more. with what little remained of our civilization than anyone thought possible. Our new king had one other thing for his people. He had a solution, a way to prevent the gods from unleashing their wrath upon our people ever again. He proposed the impossible, a mass deicide, a war to destroy the gods, and we followed him. The first step was to know our enemy. Machines were built that allowed us to ascend to the heavenly realm above. The heavens were discovered to be inhospitable to mortal kind. Protective suits were built to allow us to survive for short times in the lofty realm. With this new technology we waited, biding our time as gods floated overhead until the time was right. As the light began to fade, we saw our opening. Once more God, alone in the heavens, we ascended. As we climbed upon the back of the god, what we discovered that filled us with shock. And then anger. The god was hollow, and on its back and in its belly rode strange beings. Wide-eyed, our two races exchanged stares for what felt like an eternity. These were no gods. ADCEPTION. HE or guess why? All these centuries our gods have been nothing more than these hideous creatures, hiding inside their gleaming metal beasts. Enraged, we attacked. The gods were not armed. I don't think they ever expected their humble servants to take up arms against them. We pulled the gods from their metal shell and brought them down with us to the land of mortal. But just as we began our descent, something happened. The gods died. They could not survive in the mortal realm. Suddenly our near impossible task became so much simpler. We continued with this pattern of attack and met with little resistance. That is until we began to think ourselves mighty, and took to the skies to lay waste to one of the larger gods known to our people. The creatures that lay within were not as ill prepared as our previous marks. They resisted with impossible weapons. They were like crossbows, but without the need of bolts. Wounds were instantaneous, and iron accompanied by a thunderous noise. The fight was long, and we were eventually victorious. But only barely. It became clear to us that the gods were far more powerful than our many successes in battle had led us to believe. Our only advantage in the past had been the element of surprise. Faced in open battle, we would not have the numbers to see this war to its end. The night after the battle, there was a great clamor in the king's court. An old man sought an audience with the king. He claimed to have the solution to our problems. The man was Dearg, the last son of a clan which was exiled from the kingdom generations ago for the crime of heresy. The exile explained that his family suspected the gods false long before the day of the Black Falcon had spent generations working on a machine to expose their fart, a weapon which could bring the metal monsters the gods rode upon. Crashing to the ground, the old man's words were met with doubt and suspicion by all but our king. Intrigued, he asked the man to explain the workings of these powerful machines. The mechanism described was made of great windings of rare metals, and harnessed the power of natural fixtures, such as volcanic fissures and gas vents, to generate the power needed to pull the gods from the heavens. The old man went on to describe how such a machine could bring to land even the winged gods which soar with great speed above the others, and if it pleased the court, construction could begin immediately. The king laughed. Neither he nor any of his men had seen these winged gods. Surely this man was insane. The exile assured the king that such beings did exist, and that he himself had brought many to the land of mortals, along with many other gods. His clan had spent generations studying the gods up close. You see, the machine the old man spoke of was not a theory. His ancestors had built it, and it worked. The machine lay hidden from our people all these years between three great mountains. Dear G boasted that his family had slain so many over the years that the valley had become notorious among the gods. In their tongue it's known as the Bermuda Triangle. A deal was struck, and construction began. Source: http www.creeksandgroans.com. The third story. The Sims. Sunny the Tragic Clown. Sunny the Tragic Clown staring down. To this day, I honestly have no idea or explanation what, why, or how this happened, but I will never touch the game ever again. It has haunted me for the longest time, and I will never go back. To those who never played the game, I'll try to keep the beginning descriptions as brief as I can. The rest of you can have your nostalgic moments. If you've ever owned a PC to play games on 10 years ago, you must be familiar with the game The Sims. However, if you've played the game enough, you'd know that it could also get a little too creepy for your liking. For instance, whenever all of your Sims are asleep, on random nights a burglar would appear. When this happens, you can hear a very creepy, tense tone that gives you that tingling shiver throughout your body as he creepily walks towards your property. Of course, if you've done the Rosebud cheat, you'd have the burglar alarm installed in your house for sure, and it would go off as the burglar nonchalantly walked into the nearest door he could find. It's as if they don't let you install a lock on those goddamn things. Then the policewoman would arrive and arrest his dumbass. You then get a reward for apparently catching a wanted criminal, which is nice. The same creepy tone plays when your Sim misses work or gets fired from it. In another instance, whenever a fire occurs, a tone similar to the burglar music plays, except it is possibly 3x creepier than the firemen arrive and your Sims can help attempt to put out the fire. After the fires are out, the firemen just walk away like nothing happened. Your Sims act like nothing has happened. Either that if nobody was killed during the fire, if someone was killed, the Grim Reaper will arrive and do his thing over the dead body. You can use your Sim to beg him to bring the dead one back to life. If your Sim is happy and is mostly green on the needs bars, you can gamble against the Reaper, and you'll most likely win, thus saving your dead Sim's life. If the begging Sim has mostly red, the Reaper will turn him down and a tombstone will appear in the dead Sim's place. Attempting to find the creepy music on YouTube would be helpful before reading this, if you're brave enough. Now that you have the gist of it, here comes one of the most haunting moments I've ever had in my lifetime. I really wish this would never have happened to me. It was winter of 6th grade when I was staying up on a Friday night playing The Sims. It must have been around 10:30 p.m. I got bored with just playing with my rich happy family, so I decided to go to my spot home to the miserable family that I created for some fun. It was home to many tombstones scattered in random patterns, just based off of that and the fact that the Sims had names of people and kids I didn't like back then. You could easily tell what I had been up to. I always chose that spot to conserve memory. One even had the name of Osama bin Laden, who I killed with a firework rocket. Ironic, right? So I'm going through the Sims. All of them have red needs bars. I decided to make these two guys fight and beat the crap out of each other. I made the one kid stay in an isolated room with only a bookshelf to see if he'd actually read a book out of cabin fever and other sick things like that. However, there was something odd about this particular Sim who I would specifically torture to my liking. After a while, Sunny the Tragic Clown arrived to the house. He's basically a miserable clown that comes to your house. If your Sims are miserable for an extended amount of time, he spends his time walking around, trying to do tricks that fail miserably, crying, coughing like a guy who smokes 3 packs a day, and pissing off your Sims. He just makes your life suck until you get rid of him. Now he would be the worst victim suffering under my wrath. Everyone would always slap the shit out of him and insult him. I had the other Sims torture him like there was no tomorrow. I just thought it was funny for every time I was waiting for a Sim to complete a task, I would do something to make Sonny miserable. I even made someone call the Sim with my actual name, let's call him John, to come over just so John could slap him too. Eventually, every Sim started hating Sonny so much that they would slap the crap out of him, insult him, and even just flat out attack him without my command. Now I thought that was pretty funny at the time. It got up to the point where I just loved seeing Sonny miserable. John was able to attack him, and that's not normal, because when I created his personality trait, I gave him a full nice meter. Sims with a high nice meter only have commands which are courteous to other people, like hug, give gift, flirt and compliment. Even so, I just brushed it off, not bothering to think anything of it. Sonny became the symbol of everything I hated. At this point, my mom told me I should go to bed soon. I should have listened to her. This is where all the mayhem began, starting with the worst mistake I've ever made. After a while, I got sick of messing with the clown and couldn't stand hearing him cry all the time. I did everything I could to try to make him leave, making the Sim slap him, insult him, tell him to leave. Nothing worked, so I figured it was time to get down to business. I set up a firework inside the house, launched the rocket and let it crash down, which started a fire. The bone-chilling music started playing. I had the doors taken away and timed how long it would take them all to die a fiery death. One of the women were the first to go, as she started screaming and flailing her arms helplessly. Then one of the guys were caught in the spreading blaze. Eventually the Sim started cooking and the fire reached Sonny, who also began flailing his arms and screaming. I felt a sense of evil pass over me as I gave my computer screen a morbid gaze along with a kiddie sadistic smile. The same smile you'd expect a kid to have when he's burning ants with a magnifying glass. But another feeling passed me by alongside the evil feeling. Something just wasn't quite right. I've watched Sims burn before and they all flailed their arms the same ridiculous way. This time, it was very different. The Sims seemed to scream in no other way I've known before. Their cries weren't as if they were being funny stepping on hot coal, but as if they were calling for help, begging for help, begging and pleading like they knew I was there and was the cause of all this madness. What really got to me was that they were screaming at a louder volume than I thought I had my speakers at. They were turned pretty low as it was, but I quickly turned them down a little. I had a strange feeling from this, and a slight bit of fear, but I attempted to shake it off. Then my time of humor was short-lived after I was apparently doing nothing to help them. Their cries really invoked the pain, sorrow and suffering. Looking around the fire, 2 of the Sims had already fell to the ground while the others were still flailing in vain. 1 or 2 of the Sims seemed to be looking straight at me, calling for help. I didn't think anything of it. I just thought they were facing me because that's how they were facing before they were caught in the blaze. But then, as I skimmed across the house, there was Sonny. He too was facing me. He was different. Something wasn't right about him. He was flailing his arms like a maniac. He was screaming like the Joker, except much more sadistic and insane. The way he was shrieking and wailing kind of made me feel scared. Plus it was cold, so I shivered a little. He was facing directly at me and giving me the creepy clownish look. Only this wasn't just any type of clownish look. This type of look that Sonny was giving me was a glare of insanity in its purest form. I never knew if he was supposed to look like that, but he did. It was as if he was staring into my soul past the screen. His morbid face was full of disbelief, anger, depression, rage and heartfelt hate. His blank, beady clown eyes were facing perfectly on line with me. Never have I seen such powerful emotion from a video game character, let alone many at once. I've never seen someone in real life give me that type of stare. Then he just stood still just like that, like he was just standing at idle. Although he did not shake the evil look upon his face or the fact that he was being incinerated. It must have been a glitch, I thought. I hope it was a glitch. Just then I heard a camera shutter noise. It was the screenshot camera going off automatically. It usually does that whenever something eventful happens while you're playing. So I clicked save and clicked on my photo album to check what it was, and it was a picture of Sonny inside the fire. The caption said something like "got the darned clowned," which I found to be funny but more eerie because of the situation I was in. There, in the photo too, he was doing the same exact death stare. It filled me with such a grim, creepy feeling that I clicked out of it right away. I thought about it and clicked on the photo album again to delete the photo. The game froze for a bit, then, without warning, the clown photo sprung up again. It might have just been me, but the photo appeared to be slightly zoomed in. I clicked the delete button, nothing happened. I got frustrated and clicked it again repeatedly. Then you could hear the clicking get slower for a second and stop. The game froze on me. At this point, I was quite freaked out. I was trembling. I could feel all of my pores bumping up against my clothes as a chill ran down my spine. I ducked under the desk, reset the computer and booted the game back up. I then remembered that I completely forgot to check the time after the Sims died. It was 11:30 p.m, still having the willies. I decided to play the game again, but something was odd. There was no sound during the intro, and the color seemed to have a weird tone to it. All the flamboyant colors seemed to combine into one and filter the screen. Every color was either purely red, white, blue, yellow, or green. It just didn't look normal. I felt like my monitor was going bad. The conga music wasn't playing during the loading screen, or just blank nothingness when the map appeared. I checked my speakers because there was still no sound. I turned them up, but still nothing for some reason. I decided to go visit what was left of the family I just slaughtered. When I got there was nothing left. Everything was burnt and there were ashes everywhere. There were tombstones inside the mediocre building. I looked to where Sonny had died and I found nothing. Nothing but a painting on the wall was there. It was a painting of him that you can buy from the store. I really regret taking the closer look to see it, because now I saw what looked like him in a much creepier state. It was depicting him in a dark shade. He looked as if he was staring someone down. I decided to play as my happy family to get it off my mind. So I go to the menu and click to go back to the map. Now, I have no idea if I just got a glimpse of it, or it's been like this the whole time I wasn't looking. But for a quarter of a second, and I felt like the face of the clown in the painting glanced up right at me in the eye, getting another one of those chills. I selected my happy family. The house that I constructed for them was specifically designed through a very similar architecture to my actual house, if not exact. It was nighttime in the game. I even had the one kid turn on the cartoons to make myself feel better. But here's when the strange parts started. The other kid decided to interfere with the cartoons and put on the horror channel. I kept trying to switch back to the cartoons, but he would just change it to horror after 5 seconds. I just sent the kids to bed and everyone go to sleep. Time sped up, since nobody was doing anything. Suddenly, a message popped up saying 3 more days, and that fucking creepy Asperger music blared out my speakers. It took me so unexpectedly and by surprise that I jumped back in my seat, making a huge thump. I forgot I had it that loud. The biggest shiver ever turned into a spasm of panic and fright. Next to the message was Sunny's face, staring at me straight in the eyes. I was so frightened I couldn't move or respond but stare for 2 straight seconds. My heart must have skipped a beat. It was beating faster than ever before. I took the mouse and clicked the crap out of the OK button. Of course, just my luck. The game froze and I was left to suffer through Sunny's face staring at me. I was about to reset the computer when the message finally went away. Thank God. I turned on the buy menu so I could hear some of the calming music, except I turned the volume down a lot. I couldn't hear it was glitching or something. Maybe the music wasn't working properly. Eventually, I went about my business as usual, doing everyday tasks, while still freaked out about the message. Then, when I sent everyone to bed, that haunting message appeared again. The music didn't play at first, so I thought it didn't go off. It did. There was a delay just to fuck with my head and throw me off. It didn't scare me as much, but it still creeped me out. Nothing was different except this time the message said 2 more days. Freaked out, I got my CD player and played some Green Day to cheer myself up. All to my convenience, the batteries died in the middle of the song Holiday. That really didn't help at all. Still, I decided to push on. To this day, I don't know why I wasn't deterred to press on, but I did it anyway. I went to sleep quite restless, thinking too much. Maybe if I just let the game go for the night it will all go away. My younger brother was also addicted to the game, so I decided to ask him about if he knew anything about it. I even accused him of doing it to mess with me. He just responded by ridiculing me, saying that I was just making it up to scare him. I believed him when he said he didn't know about it. Besides, I was kidding myself to think an elementary school kid could figure out how to do something like that, even before I could, especially not that well planned out. I also attempted to look it up online. All I found was BS. Nothing. The next night of the game, which I was playing Saturday night this time, the same thing happened, except the message said ONA. I'm already why the tense spine-chilling music blared out my speakers again. How? I don't know. This time I had the speakers down almost all the way. The only thing that could have made it more silent was if I muted and unplugged the damn thing. I didn't bother to even look at Sunny's face, but from my peripheral vision, it seemed like his mouth was open in a very devilish way. Damn game lagged again, and I looked out the window until the message went away. It really didn't help that the game seemed to be getting me ready by displaying a clown on the TV, a random clown picture that I have no recollection of putting on my wall, and a bush outside looked like a wig. Trust me, you'd have to be there to see it, or else you would have no God forbidden idea. This really was a sick joke. I was thinking, who could have done this? Why would they? I was only 12 years old. It's not like they could see my reaction to get any enjoyment out of it. So why do it? Is it even a joke? I proceeded to go about my Sims' daily business when they woke up. I bought a bunch of new stuff for them and touched up a few things. I also sold the clown painting for $1 and replaced the TV. I tried to do everything I could to keep the clown out of my head, out of sight, out of mind. Things looked a little up from here. Right at this point, there came the worst and scariest time of my life. My heart would have beaten a Kenyan runner on steroids in a heartbeat race. No other moment haunts me like this as today, in all sincerity. Paranormal times like these are like a turning point in life. A message popped up while everyone was still awake. This time, it wasn't the burglar music that played, it was the fire music. It shrieked out my speakers so loudly because I wasn't expecting it. It struck fear into me, as if I just got punctured by 1,000 needles. My spine tingled so much, I was petrified. I might as well have had rigor mortis. There it was, the message, but it had Sunny's face on it again, which seemed to have a demonic smirk. When I read the message, I could feel myself turning pale. My body felt like it was shutting down from the neck down to my whole body. My eyes widened without my control, believe me. If you could ever feel your pupils dilate, this is what it would feel like. The message said, TAZNOWHERETOGO. It really killed me to type that, let alone read it. I tried to click build mode, but it wouldn't let me. It was as if the burglar came and didn't let you do anything. I got my sim, his wife, to go somewhere inside the house where they could escape. Once I got them in order, I realized something. The kids were playing tag outside. Oh no, oh god no. The next thing I know, one of the kids ran away to the backyard, while the other just stands and stares while his back is turned to the sidewalk. I didn't want to watch, but I just couldn't look away. The clown slowly creaked down the sidewalk. The kid just stood there like he had no idea what was going on. The clown walked until he was on line with the kid. THEURNEDA. She walked towards the kid and I tried to get him to run away or something. Anything that would get him the fuck away from that goddamn clown. I must have clicked the mouse 40 times per second, nothing. Then the most horrific thing happened, as if the clown was a burglar. He bent over the kid and the kid disappeared. Right when he disappeared, the burglar music shrieked. An image flashed on screen for a millisecond, but I couldn't make it out in time. Sonny was then holding a sack, just like the burglar. I couldn't believe my eyes. My jaw just fell open involuntarily. I didn't even feel or notice it much because my body was so numb with fear and panic. I watched in horror as he walked after the other kid who was running around the house. To my surprise and Sonny did the smart thing, but went back the other way toward where the kid was running around the house. There was no hope. The kid ran right into him, around the front left corner of the house. He too was scooped up into a sack along with the burglar music playing. The image flashed on screen again. I couldn't make it out, but I know for sure it wasn't something good or something I'd like to see. The clown then proceeded to not walk, but went out of the scene, as if it wasn't creepy enough. Those Sims run really fucking fast in a jolt-like motion. My other Sim stood in the house, doing nothing, until the clown from hell was gone from the scene. Then, all of a sudden, my Sim started out the door towards where the kids were taken and started screaming in horror. An expressive speech bubble that symbolizes a loud noise appeared above each of their heads. Nothing was in them. Now I've heard Sims scream before, but again this was different. The screams were blood-clushed, despair-inducing, terror-striking, and very realistic. My speakers weren't that old, but they definitely could not have produced that realistic of audio quality. It seemed like a small person was actually inside the speaker, screaming at the top of their lungs. The Sims then began to sob and cry in their hands likewise. It was a very realistic sounding sobbing. I could literally put the speakers under the desk and he would think that there's somebody sitting under the desk, crying like they're living in complete purgatory. The image from earlier flashed on screen again, and I managed to press print screen just in time. God help me, if my timing was just a tiny bit off then, I wouldn't have to see what I just screen capped. At this point, I was on the verge of tears, my vision was blurring. My lips were trembling. I was shaking violently, but I could not take miles off the terror. I was even whimpering like a scared baby. I lost it. I tumbled off my chair. I went to go play some music. I listened to some tunes and let out the longest piss I ever have in my entire life. When I got back with my CD player in hand, my original plan was to quit the fuck out of the game. I was done with this crap. I didn't care if I had to play Jimmy Neutron versus Jimmy Negatron for the rest of my life. I just wanted the fucking game off the computer. I got back in about 15 minutes. I noticed I hadn't paused the game. Touching my mouse caused me to scroll down just to see what was happening. There was only one sim left. That sim was the one with my name on it. The wife was nowhere to be found. None of their faces were available in the navigation bar except for the remaining sim. He was just standing in the house, staring blankly at nothing. The music played again. The clown from hell was back, coming to get the last of what he started. I wasn't in the mood for taking this shit anymore, not like I was 3 hours ago. I had the sim call the police, then walk out the back door and go to the left. Not to mention I muted my speakers for real this time. Sonny walked into the house nonchalant, like he knew I was just there. He creeped around the living room, dining room, the kitchen, and a little bit of the family room. It was like he was looking for him after searching around and finding nothing. For some odd reason he decided to touch the TV, and it broke instantly. Then sat on the couch watching it like there was something on. After a moment or two, he stood up abruptly. It was like he just had a sudden thought. He proceeded to walk out the back door and go the same way my sim did. I quickly commanded the sim to walk around the front and towards the back. The clown followed his tracks. Then came the worst part, for worst night of my life, since the architecture of the house is just like my actual house. The computer room is upstairs and in the back right corner. My sim was walking around the corner towards the back with the clown walking about the same speed. But here's the scariest part. Once my sim reached the back left corner of the house, Sonny was beginning to reach the back right. I heard something outside. I didn't dare push aside the curtain, so I just listened. I listened hard the whole time Sonny was walking around the back right. I could hear footsteps silently crunch on the ground outside the window. It was around what seemed like the same spot when Sonny stopped to turn to the left. The footstep sounds outside stopped and they just sounded like someone turning around. Then they just continued once Sonny started walking again. The footsteps outside slowly faded out. I couldn't do it. I went crazy and absolutely ballistic. I force switched off the computer. I ran to open the door to my mom's room crying while so scared. I leapt into the bed and under the covers in one motion and would not come out. I started crying. My mom woke up instantly, concerned. It was too hard to talk at the time, so all that I managed to say under my hysterical crying was, "I'm scared. I want to sleep here." The next morning, my brother was playing the game, asking why I just left the computer on without pausing. I stared at him for a second, then just walked away. Once he got off, I took the disc out and put it away. You have no idea how much I wanted to smash it to pieces and put it in the trash, but I would have gotten in trouble for it. But then I remembered how I screen capped the image. The computer wasn't all night long, so it couldn't have forgotten the copied image. I opened up Microsoft Paint and clicked paste. The image that came up was horrifying. If I can remember correctly, it was a picture of Sonny. He was standing on the same spot where he died. It was a closely zoomed in image. He had an obvious smile on his face that showed rotten gingivitis-ridden teeth ground into sharp points. It looked like the Stephen King's IT clown, that was it. I deleted the image and took the game out. To this day, it still haunts me. I still question what it was as Stephen King says. Eliminating the word how is what really gets to you. Such an unexplainable event occurred and baffles me. Why did my speakers go off even though I muted them? Why did the footsteps stop after I turned the computer off? Why did Sonny decide to mess with my head? Hell. Why did it have to be after I tortured him for so long? I guess sometimes things can only go so far until they snap. If you're ever wondering what happened after, here's something I find really strange. I logged onto the game about a couple years ago, and from what I remember, all the houses in the game were wiped clean, as if I never built a house or did anything there. It was a bit unsettling looking at an open field, which was once the domain of houses I created. All but left, there was an eerie graveyard in place of the house. I used to torture the Sims. I have never touched the game ever since. I never even bothered to get The Sims 2 when it came out.